the shooting range. In this episode, pages of history, light tanks the Swedish way, arsenal, best weapons for the Su-27, and metal beasts, Danish dart gun. The Seek and Destroy update has brought a number of new top fighters to the game, but there's also a few pretty exciting ground vehicles, especially IFVs. We'd like to start with the first Danish vehicle in War Thunder. Please welcome the CV9035DK infantry fighting vehicle. It looks very similar to other members of the CV90 family, especially the Swedish and Finnish versions. The biggest difference is their guns, which, by the way, are part of the vehicle names. This machine's main caliber is a two-plane stabilized 35mm autocannon, with elevation angles between -8 and +37 degrees. Its main shell is a fin-stabilized discarding sabot that can penetrate 130mm of armor up close. It's hard to penetrate thick frontal armor with it, but you'll have no trouble damaging enemy sides and rears. Should you happen to stumble upon someone face-to-face, you can always try to damage their barrel, gun breech, and tracks. Still, members of this IFV family have other differences as well. The Danish machine is somewhere in the middle of caliber and penetration ranges. It's inferior to its Swedish sibling and superior to the Finnish one. However, rate of fire also means a lot in active combat, and the Swedish machine has a very small first stage ammo stowage. The Finnish model and today's highlight can boast ammo belt feeders, so they have no such flaw. Where the Danish IFV is a sure leader is the thrust-to-weight ratio. It's way ahead of the rest, even though its mass is the highest. Thanks to an 815 horsepower engine, it can accelerate to 70 kilometers an hour. This basically means that the CV9035 can move around as quickly as the fastest tanks at its battle rating. By the way, speaking about the highest mass, this IFV weighs 32 tons because it has a set of additional armor covering its front and sides. You still shouldn't expect it to deflect tank shells, of course, but this armor can save you from a stray autocannon round or two. It might well become the winning factor when dueling other vehicles of this class. As for the rest, the CV9035 is a classic IFV. It has everything you need for a comfortable game, and its balanced performance allows you to use any tactic you find enjoyable. Tank destroyers, medium, heavy, cruiser, and infantry tanks, all of these classes became history after the Second World War. All this variety of specialized vehicles had to retire in favor of the main battle tank, a new versatile unit of armed forces. The only exception was the light tank. Much like in the middle of the previous century, armies of today have various reasons to employ lightweight, fast, air-transportable vehicles with good cannons, even if it means poor protection levels. The Swedes had quite a number of such designs in the mid-1960s, although most of them were based on outdated platforms. The IKV-72 SPG, the STRV-74 tank, and other similar projects were clearly temporary solutions. The nation needed something fresh, preferably with a future-proof design. The Ministry of Defense compiled a list of requirements that turned out to be pretty unconventional. The future light tank was designated an infantry support combat vehicle. It was supposed to provide fire support with heavy arms on any terrain, including the forests and marshes of the nation's north. It was also supposed to be amphibious and have a mass lower than 15 tons to be able to cross any bridge and wade rivers without extensive preparation. In terms of firepower, it was to be armed with a low-recoil 90mm cannon specifically developed for lightweight platforms. And the final requirement was wide elevation angles, no less than 10 degrees down and 20 degrees up. Unconventional specs make contending companies bring unconventional designs. Some propositions, like the one from Bofors, were similar to SPGs with the casemate in the back, like the ASU-57, while others looked like classic artillery. The winning project was a light tank from Haglunds that shared its base with a prototype armored personnel carrier and a mine-clearing vehicle. To fit within the mass limit, the engineers cut its armor down to an extreme thickness of only 8 millimeters. Still, the Swedes tried to preserve at least some kind of protection level. The front of the hull was shaped after the pike nose, similar to the IS-3 that once impressed the world, while the turret was sloped. The powerful Volvo engine was placed at an angle to save space in the compartment. Designated the IKV-91, this vehicle joined service in the early 1970s. As an assault gun whose primary mission was destroying enemy tanks, it was a great reinforcement for the Swedish Centurion and STRV-103 MBTs. Despite its unreliable engine, it remained in service all the way into the early 2000s. The machine had a fire control system with a laser rangefinder, which was pretty advanced for its time. It could easily play the role of tank destroyer on the battlefield. Fortunately, no conflict ever came, and these specialized vehicles were replaced with the versatile CV90 and Leopard 2 tanks. Sweden also developed an export version of the IKV-91 with a 105mm cannon, but it never saw demand. In our last episode, we discussed the new modification of the Su-27, but we still haven't talked about the best loadouts for this family, including the Chinese J-11. We'll start out with air combat sets. The first weapon a pilot gets on these aircraft is the close-range R-73. They can't beat the competition in terms of range or speed, but their motor with thrust vectoring control makes them a benchmark in maneuverability. These missiles are perfect for use with a helmet-mounted display, allowing you to hit enemies in seemingly impossible conditions. Progressing the aircraft unlocks the R-27 missiles that you can place onto the internal wing hardpoints and the 4 central pylons. First, the stock versions, and later, the improved ER ones. These 2 options are a major choice. Should you use the infrared homing missiles, or stick to the radar ones only? On the one hand, the R-27T allows for covert attacks at unaware enemies thanks to the electro-optical guidance system. This advantage is crucial in markerless simulator battles. In realistic ones, though, the radar-guided missiles seem more valuable since radar lock-on is more reliable. In any case, both options are valid and true. These loadouts remain the best options for the early Su-27 and J-11 modifications, but the latest editions can boast a new type of munition. The active radar homing R-77 missiles can replace older medium-range ones on 6 hardpoints. It's a justified solution for close combat as well. The new missiles are handier and can offer much better maneuverability. Their speed and range, however, are inferior to the R-27ER, so we suggest you keep a combined loadout. Okay, now it's time to talk about CAS. Start by clearing everything but the 4 AAMs on the wingtips. Each aircraft of this family can take off with more than 8 tons of payload, but you'll have to take clusters of tiny bombs to reach the limit. We have to admit, it does look impressive, but it's not really effective against heavy ground vehicles. We believe the best option is 8 500-kilogram bombs. It's far from the mass limit and packs enough of a punch that you don't have to place each bomb directly on a tank roof. If you want more versatility, some bombs can be replaced with rockets. We suggest you focus on the large caliber S-13 and S-25. The most advanced version of the fighter, the Su-27SM, deserves a few sentences of its own. It's the one that has guided air-to-surface munitions. Loadout number 1 is a cheaper set with 4 CAB 500 bombs and the new record-setter CAB 1500. All of them have TV homing devices and need no tracking after the drop. The second loadout is more convenient, but costs significantly more SP. It replaces the 4 bombs with the Ha-29TD missiles. They'll reach the target much faster and offer improved chances of success. Both loadouts include an extra R-77 anti-air missile to help you fight off competition. What aircraft would you like to see next? Tell us in the comments while we answer your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Toe1000. What's the best loadout for the F4S Phantom in Ground RB? Hi, Toe. We'd go for the most versatile set. A gun pod, 2 hardpoints with Zuni rockets, and 2 hardpoints with bombs. 500, 750, or 1,000 pounds, depending on the map and the number of targets. Rick Drakon asks, what's the max fire range of the KF-41 and Freccia Spike missiles? Hello, Rick. Ideally, the spikes can fly for around 4 kilometers, but if you shoot at a maneuvering target, like a helicopter, the max range is much lower, 2.5 to 3 kilometers. Another question comes from SRC. Will the new AMX A1A have better flight performance over the regular AMX? And if not, why is it a higher BR? Hi there, SRC. These aircraft have the same flight performance, but the Brazilian version can carry better forward-firing weaponry, better air-to-air missiles, and a convenient targeting pod. Bank Ball Green writes, what aircraft will have the Fox 3s? Hello! Here they are. 3 F-16s, 3 F-15s, 3 Gripens, 3 Harriers, 2 Su-27s, the Mirage 2000, the Phantom, the MiG-29, the Tornado, and the J-8F. 19 aircraft in total. And the last comment for today was written by Yahya Imran Paracha. Could you do an arsenal on the A5C from the Chinese tech tree, please? Or pages of history? Hi, that's a good idea. We'll dedicate one of the next arsenals to the entire family of the Q5, including the A5C. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to notch and dodge, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.